These ones don't look as bad as I thought they would. But
okay, so let's start with the chain just in case it's different. Although this is a bit more uniform than the last piece. What do you think of the chain?
It's definitely lighter than this dark one.
So it's not as dull, like it's not as grey as the other one is. But that looks good, right?
Yeah, it does.
So this probably looks really nice on you. Can I see it on your face? Yeah. So yeah, you can see that, of course, the dress is dulling you a little bit, so I'm just going to get a drape. Yeah, just to kind of get a better idea of your appearance with these things. Okay, hiding the hair. So yeah, you can see that the glass is sitting kind of quite comfortably on the face. Okay, so with jewellery, I open the fan up slightly differently than how we use it with clothes, because with clothes the items are larger and then we open it with little gaps so we can see the item kind of interacting, but jewellery is actually quite small. So what I tend to do is open the pages so that we can see the colours, but I leave no gaps because then I can rest the fan once it's all opened up on a surface like a table, without the table interacting with the fan as well at the same time as the jewellery. So I'm just going to open it up without any gaps, like this. And you can kind of do it on the surface already, like here on the table. Okay, roughly like that. And then you move the jewellery item on there. So which one would you like to look at first?
Maybe this one?
Yeah. So basically what I tend to do is I just offer it, like place it on there. And these things will sometimes have a different metal or a different look where the pendant is, and a different piece where the chain is. So sometimes you have to analyze them like separate from each other. This looks fairly uniform in terms of what the metal looks like. And then you just go and do the same exact thing that we did before. We look for first impression. And my first impression, it looks really nice. I reckon because it looks kind of elegant, it doesn't feel heavy.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel too shiny, like too in your face. It doesn't look dull, like greyish. So it's actually a really good one. Maybe the only part, if I wanted to be really picky, is that little gold bit in the middle might be like a bit too dark kind of a gold, like a heavier kind of a gold, but it's so tiny that this is fine. So like if that was on there, or if the color of that was like a little stone in one of these colors, then I reckon that would make it a 10 out of 10. But for me, this is probably a good 9.5 out of 10.
That's good.
Yeah. And then with jewelry, the way you test it is I actually normally just use my hand, so we can use your hand for that. Basically, we just put the item on there and we just check if we get the similar kind of effect as what we see with the hand. But yes, it looks kind of nice and twinkly, elegant, not too shiny. Maybe it looks a little bit brighter on you actually than it is with the fan, but only just. But otherwise, it's looking kind of nice and elegant, not dull or grey, definitely not in your face. And that's basically what we're looking for, something that kind of looks expensive and nice. So let's see how this compares to some other items. So I'll put this on the side, put another one on. Okay, what do you think? So this is why I said sometimes the pendant part is different from the chain, because they are just doing different things. So we'll probably have to analyze this in two parts.
Okay.
Shall we start with the chain?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like picked up some colour somewhere. So it's a bit more dark and...
It's a bit sort of cool tone looking, isn't it? It's a bit sort of like, it's not too harsh, but I reckon it's too cool. You know, it's not sort of like too overpowering, but it looks grayer, darker, you know, it doesn't really want to be sort of sunny, shiny, all that kind of stuff. So I reckon that's probably how it will look on your skin as well. So if you use your hand, you can see it's kind of grey and dull and not too overpowering, but it's definitely not looking sort of elegant and sunny. Look at that. Look how clean and more expensive that one looks in your context. Look at that. And look at that.
Yeah.
You know, and this could be like a really expensive metal and this could be a cheap one. It won't matter because you're making this look nicer. You know, it doesn't matter if this was like super expensive at Tiffany's. If you can't make it look nice, if you make, because you make it look like, oh, the paint wore off or something, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this one looks really nice and gentle and just belonging. Just, it leaves the skin nice and clear. This sort of like just brings in that sort of gloomy feeling. Okay, so let's analyze the I mean, even the stone and the gold metal is like two different things, but
there's lots of different colours on this
yeah,
one.
lots going on with this. And you feel free to move it around. Like I sometimes like, oh, what about on that color? You know how we're doing the combining with the clothes. We can just move it to different parts. Like, oh, can I add this stone to this bracelet? Like, let's imagine this is our bracelet. You know, like, can I add that stone? Like, okay, there it works. What about here? Yeah. What about there? Yeah, kind of. I mean, it looks almost a little cool or grey. Like we might be into light summer with it, maybe. You know, because it's just less sort of sunshiny kind of vibe. You know, a little bit kind of calmer, quieter. Can you see here as well? It's just sort of tones it down a little bit, but certainly better than the chain, right?
Yeah, definitely better than the chain.
So let's see that part with your hand. Yeah, and immediately better, not as grey or dull or anything, but has that kind of reserved tone, right? Okay, what about the gold part? Move it around.
I'm finding this a lot harder than the clothes.
Yeah, because it's smaller, so it's going to kind of give you a little bit less info. This is normally harder than the clothes.
Yeah, I'm not sure it goes, but...
Yeah, so I think, of course, it's hard because we're seeing it with the other chain, so I'm going to try and hide it. But if I'm just showing it to you this way, that's actually not too bad. Can you see? So I'm thinking, okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Like it doesn't look perfect. Like it's not like, oh wow, this is like as nice as gold can get. But it's not too bad. I'm guessing possibly maybe the other springs or maybe again light summer or something. You know, it's doing something a little bit differently from the fan, but again not too bad. So, and it's a very similar effect next to your hand. Can you see?
Yeah.
It's not as nice as what's going on here.
Yeah.
Right? That's like fresh, clean, radiant, elegant, like it has an effortless feel, you know. So that's really, really lovely. I'm glad we've got a strong reference point here.
It's doing really well, that one.
Yeah, and you can see the difference between, like, if you put the two chains next to each other, that has a yellower, warmer undertone.
This one's
much more
darker.
light reflective. This one is grayer, you know, doesn't reflect the light back as much. Yeah, and even this gold, because this has a slight goldiness, right? But that gold is a different quality of gold, isn't it? Like, not quite as lightweight and sort of airy.
Yeah.
Okay, what else have you got?
These ones don't look as bad as I thought they would, but...
Okay, so let's start with the chain just in case it's different. Although this is a bit more uniform than the last piece. What do you think of the chain?
It's definitely lighter than this dark one.
So it's not as dull, like it's not as grey as the other one is.
But not as bright as like something like that.
But it still feels a bit separate, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So that might mean that this is, you know, like a summerier color, so it still reflects some light back. This could be like already falling into winter and it just gets really dull in your context. I'm not sure. Or this could be like a soft season that maybe is less soft, you know, less great, so it might be reflecting more back. But overall, it still kind of like just sits on top, isn't it? And it kind of takes away that sort of sunshine feel of the palette, right? So I'm guessing it will do a similar thing on you. Yeah, it just kind of overpowers a little bit, right?
Yeah.
If I'm comparing it to that, just look how nice and belonging that one looks.
Yeah.
Just feels prettier, right? Putting that one back, it's just like strong, isn't it? So masculine.
Yeah.
But nicer than that one.
Right.
So here it looks less grey. When I'm putting that one on, it just feels more grey. If I'm putting them separate, can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So possibly not as cool tone as that, or not as grey. So do we think that the pendants, I reckon this looks a little heavy, and it felt a bit heavy there, but let's see if we can look at the little one on its own. Move it around.
The little one seems to look great.
Yeah, the little one works better, isn't it? So it works better than the chain, and it also works better than the large circle.
Yeah.
And I think jewellery often is made in this way, you know, that the clasp will be one metal, the chain another metal, whatever they're hanging the pendant on is another metal, and then the pendant itself can be whatever it does.
Yeah, it goes with quite a lot of the colours.
Yeah. It's definitely friendly. I'm not sure. This looks grey. Can you see this metal? But that looks much warmer. I'm trying to move it to the light a bit. Can you see? It's hard to, obviously we can't take it separate, but if we took it, if we were to be able to take it apart, it actually is starting to get nice. So let's put it on your hand and see if we can sort of see that. Yeah, so if you hide that, then that looks kind of okay, but that looks already grey again. Can you see? So even when we look at it together, you can see that this is the circle that isn't as grey. So they must have just, you know, made it from a slightly different coating or a slightly different metal, you know, possibly even sourced it from different factories, you know, like, can you imagine going into lots of bead and jewellery kind of stores, and then combining, designing jewellery from various bits and pieces, you know? Very interesting. What else have you got?
The glasses.
Glasses, yeah. So the glasses will have multiple colours as well. Of course, you've got the frame. Sometimes this side bit can be different. For you it's the same. Sometimes that this sort of long handle type thing is different, and of course the end is different, but that goes behind your ear, so that's our least concern. And with glasses, like, because you got all these pieces, sometimes I pick up the fan and trying to sort of just not have these interfering, you know, just like have a look at it this way. But that looks good, right?
Yeah, it does.
So it doesn't look heavy, it looks just kind of nice and shiny, almost slightly pinky, can you see?
Yeah,
it's like a pinky gold.
Tint to it.
Yeah, but probably the right kind, because it doesn't feel grey or gloomy or bluey or anything, or not too strong. So this is actually pretty good. Let's see it with your hand. And then we move it around. Yeah, so you can see it in the light. Like, move it around so that you can see it in the reflection. Can you see it with your skin?
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing it from this angle because the light is hitting it there.
Yeah,
So it's actually nice and clean. Of course, when it's in the shade, you can't tell as easily. So this probably looks really nice on you. Can I see it on your face? Yeah. So yeah, you can see that, of course, the dress is dulling you a little bit, so I'm just going to get a drape. Yeah, just to kind of get a better idea of your appearance with these things. Okay, hiding the hair. So yeah, you can see that the glass is sitting kind of quite comfortably on the face. Now, if the frame was, let's say, this chain colour, I'm just going to put it near your forehead. Look how heavy that would be sitting, that frame.
Yeah.
Just really like dull, dark, kind of dirty almost, can you see? So it wouldn't look like a nice metal, it would probably look a bit kind of like a dirty, like a faded item. And then this one, it's a bit better, but still too dominating, can you see?
Yeah.
So imagine if that one was going around in a circle, just wouldn't work. And then your first necklace should be fine, a little bit brighter I think than the glasses that you've got here. But that's nice and cleaner and twinkler, isn't it, you know?
Yeah.
And of course this isn't the glass frame, but you can just see how that would work nicer than the other two metals. So yeah, this is basically roughly what you do with jewellery. And then here I've got another rose gold item, which is even pinker and darker than your glasses. Do you want to check that as well and see how that works? Maybe give you the exercise of No gaps because the table is going to talk.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Might just pop these off or I'm going to drop them. No. Yeah. How did you do it to have...
So okay, let me put this on your lap. So the way I did it is like a deck of cards, you know, I just sort of all from the same angle, and then, yeah, and then just sort of like as soon as the top colour was sort of separate enough, like that, that's as much as you can open it without the table starting to sort of have a say. Okay.
It's harder than it looks, yeah.
It's a different way of working with the fan, but when items are so small, you can't really put the fan on it because whatever is in the background behind the item, it's too hard to separate. They'll be just affecting each other. So, all right.
Yeah, it goes okay.
Yeah. Start combining it with some neutrals, some other things.
Yeah, it's better over here, I think. Yeah, it does go.
Good, and then check it with your hand. Yeah, that will be a decent looking metal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not as nice as the glasses. I think the glasses were
slightly
best.
darker than the glasses.
so it could be a bit cooler, like we might be into light summer with this, you know. Put it near your face as well. Yeah, so you can see that it's a little bit possibly cooler tone than what your but it's the right intensity. It's not so heavy.
Yeah.
Like if you put this next to your face,
in contrast.
it just feels really pushy, right? Yeah, so that's the exercises. Metals, most of jewellery, it's the same exact way. We're looking for the effect, the impact, trying to combine a few things, see if the other combinations make sense.
Yeah, that's really fascinating.
Yeah. So luckily your glasses are really good because that's normally the expensive thing to buy and the hard one to kind of find a good shape and a colour all at once.
Yeah, I'm glad they match.
Yeah.
So these the necklaces you can change each day.
Yeah, and like sometimes when a pendant is really good, you just think, oh, I like the stone in this pendant. Well, just get a different chain if the chain is like looking really dull. You know, that's not so difficult. Yeah, I reckon that this one is good. You can definitely keep that. The other chains, I'm not sure. Like here, maybe you can keep the stone bit, you know, and then if you replace the chain itself. With the other one, I don't know. It will just look a little too strong, I think.
Yeah.
But jewellery is so easy to pick up, you know, because it doesn't have to fit your body shape, you know, it's just kind of hangs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's basically what you do. And anything that's smaller than the fan, like smaller accessories, that's what you do. You know, if you've got like tiny little bags, you can place it on there, you know, tiny little like accessories, you know, like a belt buckle or something you want to check, or a belt strap or something, you can place it on there. But as soon as it gets big, like if you've got a bigger handbag this size, you just put the fan on it, you know, just like on clothes.
Yeah.
And then we'll be using the fan slightly differently again for the makeup.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.